Alright guys, so in this video, I'm gonna be showing you 5 tips for shooting vertical video with your iPhone 13. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube stories are here to stay, and you need to create better video content to stand out from the crowd. So in this video, I'm gonna be showing you 5 things I always do when shooting vertical video with my iPhone 13, including the gear I use, camera settings, and shooting techniques. And hopefully you'll learn something from this video that will help you create better video content. Subscribe for more videos like this one, and let's check it out. Alright, so starting with tip number 1 is the gear I use. I typically use one of 3 things for shooting vertical video. Number 1, I shoot completely handheld, just by holding the iPhone like this in a vertical position. And this is mostly if you're not going to be moving the camera that much, and basically you're taking like a static shot of a building or a landscape. But when we're talking about making video, you want to introduce more camera movement to make your shots look more dynamic, and that's when getting a camera case or an iPhone mount comes into play. So number 2, and like I said before, and this is mostly when you want to introduce more camera movement and also you want to have more control on the way that you hold your phone, is getting a camera case like this one. With the handles on each side, it's going to allow you to move your camera way better than just holding it with your bare hands. Or for example, if you want to mount your iPhone on a tripod and get more controlled pans and tilt, you can buy a tripod mount like this one, where it's going to allow you to either shoot horizontal videos or even vertical videos, panning or tilting the camera with more control. And lastly, the one that you should consider buying, and it's the most expensive of the bunch, but I think it's a very good long-term investment, and it's getting a 3-axis gimbal. The one that I've been using is from a company called Zhiyun, and it's a gimbal that I've been using for most of my videos. Not only can hold the weight of your iPhone 13, but also can hold the weight of a mirrorless camera. And if you want to see a video I made before about this camera gimbal, you can click the card above. But here's an example of me doing a running test, holding the camera with just my hands versus using a 3-axis gimbal. So you can see the difference in stabilization when doing one versus the other. Tip number 2 is going to be knowing which iPhone lens to use for any given situation. As you know, depending on which iPhone model you have, you can find up to 3 camera lenses to choose from. The ultra wide, which is around 13mm in focal length, standard, which is around 26, and the telephoto lens, which is around 77. You can of course use any of them for shooting vertical video. However, my recommendation is to only use the ultra wide when taking videos of large spaces or buildings, as filming people with such a wide angle lens is going to distort their faces and their bodies, as you can see here. Another example when to use the ultra wide angle lens is if you're going to be mounting it on a gimbal. The standard lens, that's the one that you should be using for filming people, as it's not going to be distorting their faces or their bodies. And the telephoto lens, especially if you want to capture details or objects that are far away. Keeping in mind that the more zoom in you are with your lens, the more difficult it's going to be to fit everything into a vertical video, especially if your subject is close to you, as they're going to be moving in and out of your frame very easily. Tip number 3 is all about camera settings. Shooting in 4K, 24 frames per second is going to give you the more cinematic and more detailed look in your videos. However, could be the more taxing on your computer. If you're an Apple user, consider shooting ProRes for a better editing experience. However, file size could be an issue depending on the memory size on your iPhone. If you want to slow things down in post-production, remember to shoot 4K 60, as it's going to let you slow it down without messing up the video quality or making your videos look choppy when slowed down. Another camera setting to consider is turning on the grid lines on the menu settings, as that is going to help you better frame your shots by following the rule of thirds, which is super useful, especially when shooting vertical video. If you are a more advanced shooter, I would definitely recommend that you get an app like Filmic Pro or ProTake, which will allow you to have more control over your camera focusing system and camera settings, including the white balance, zoom control, and focus peaking.
Tip number 4 is about camera movement. When we're talking about shooting video, motion is a crucial element to the filmmaking process. And it's a one thing that makes it completely different from taking a simple photo, which of course doesn't have any moving elements to it. So when we're talking about shooting your next vertical video, keep in mind some basic camera movements like the ones I will be mentioning to keep your viewer more engaged. Number 1, the pushing. Take your camera, move it forward to create a sense of motion in your scene, or for example to get closer to your subject. Number 2, the pull out. Same concept as a push in, but of course you're going to be pulling out to reveal your subject. Number 3, the tilt up or tilt down technique. Point the camera up or down and tilt up or tilt down, again revealing your subject and creating more suspense. And number 4, the reveal. Get behind a foreground object and reveal your main subject by either moving the camera up or moving the camera sideways. And lastly, tip number 5 is lighting, which is actually one of the most overlooked topics when shooting video. Not only good lighting is going to make your vertical videos look better, especially when shooting in golden hour or sunrise, but it's extremely important to understand, especially when shooting with small sensor cameras like the iPhone 13, which don't do too well in low light scenarios. Before your next project, keep in mind what time of day you're going to be shooting, camera direction in relation to the sun, and weather condition, in order to make your videos look more cinematic. Alright guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Click that like button if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe for more camera filmmaking and tech videos. See you in the next one.